A major difficulty for the police here is that there is no cell network, which is a challenge for the rescuers, as well as the weather conditions, which are not always favorable. The stepfather then hopes that the children will be found quickly.
That's one of the first on-location reports about missing children, Lily and Jack Sullivan, and it's packed with new details, except I, like most people, didn't even know it existed until Plunder True Crime unearthed it. So in today's video, let's watch it and count the red flags. I am Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For exclusives, early access, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. If you're new to this case or just not up to date with the latest news about it, don't worry because Paula from Plunder True Crime does a good job of summarizing the case and why this news report flew under so many people's radar. So there's just one last thing I want to do before we grab our deception decks and analyze it. And that's to quickly recap what I consider when I'm analyzing a case, whether it's a true crime case like this one, pop culture, or anything else. Of course, I prefer to work with statements directly from the suspect's mouth. After all, they're the only one who truly knows whether or not they're guilty. But sometimes the suspect doesn't make any statements at all, or they make too few for me to form a solid opinion about them, as is the case with Daniel Martel. That's when I'll consider statements relayed through someone else, like their attorney or PR rep if we're analyzing a celebrity, or a reputable journalist, like we're going to do in this video. Naturally, that's with a grain of salt. But frankly, the bulk of what I do is decide what to ignore, because that's often what leads people astray. So it's my policy not to even entertain unsubstantiated rumors, anecdotes, or superstitions, even with an entire salt shaker. Nor do I pay attention to things that don't actually correlate with deception, like body language analysis, which actually makes you worse at detecting lies. You can learn more about that in the DD forum. Alright, without further ado, let's listen.
You've probably been asking yourself what happened to Lily and Jack, the 6-year-old and 4-year-old who went missing off of Garlock Road in Nova Scotia, Canada, more than a week ago. They were reported missing on Friday, May 2nd, and as I film this now, it's late at night. We finally got another update from the RCMP basically saying they're not going to give up even though they haven't found the children yet. A woman named Malia Brooks Murray is the mother of the children, and their stepdad is named Daniel Martel. And you will be hearing about Daniel a lot more because I've been researching for days and days since my last couple of videos about this case, just digging through so much dispatch audio from the Pictou County Fire VHF paging and ops dispatch because I'm trying to get to the truth, trying to figure out what's going on, reading all the publications I can. You will see I even had some Canadian French publications dubbed into English just to figure out what they were talking about.
The children's family burst into tears when the police showed up at their home this Wednesday around 1 o'clock.
And that's how I found out that Daniel and his family, whoever that was with him, I don't know, off Garlock Road, they broke down in tears, according to the reporter, when authorities brought them a map on Wednesday, May 2nd, showing Daniel just how much ground they had covered without finding the children.
So that's the rundown on the case and the explanation for why I, at least, didn't even know that broadcast existed, because it was originally in French. But Paula took it upon herself to dub it, and I appreciate that, because as she said, it reveals new details that we didn't get from any of the other reporting we've analyzed. And it's not like we haven't been following along. This is my 7th video about this case in almost as many days. This is the first time we've heard about some other woman also crying alongside Daniel when the police broke the news to him that they probably weren't going to find the kids. But what really jumped out to me about this report was the clip I played in the intro, where the journalist said that they have no cell service in that area. Because for the past 2 videos I've made about this case, I've been saying that I'm worried that the mother took a long drive ostensibly to get cell service, which would have given her the perfect alibi to discard any incriminating evidence, maybe even the children themselves, all without being tracked by any cell phone ping. So let's keep watching to see what else we missed because it was originally reported en français.
Good evening, everyone. A small community in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, is on alert. 2 children, Lily Sullivan, 6 years old, and her brother Jack, 4 years old, were last seen Friday morning at their home in Lansdowne Station. It is near New Glasgow. The numerous search efforts have not yet succeeded in finding the 2 children, and concerns are high in the community. We have Agatha Boucard on the scene. So, Agatha, how did this 4th day of searching go?
Yes, a helicopter flew over the surroundings of Lansdowne this Sunday to find the children. The Search Coordination Center was set up on top of a very wooded hill not far from the home where Lily and Jack were. seen for the last time. Between 120 and 160 volunteers for the search and rescue operations who came from elsewhere in the province are trying to find the traces of the missing, accompanied by sniffer dogs and drones. A city councillor who visited the search site every day said that the community was therefore very worried and concerned. It was Donald Parker, the councillor in Pictou. He hopes that everything will turn out well and asks the public especially to not go to the investigation site because they might blur the trials.
This is another line that jumped out to me because I haven't heard the request not to come to the area because it could hinder the search put so explicitly, especially since we've seen so many other interviews where Daniel Martel talks about being out there searching, running ahead of the drones, and doing things that obviously the search team knows isn't productive to the search, which makes me wonder if they've relayed that information to him. And if they have, why is he insisting on going out to search anyway? Is it out of fatherly instinct? In other words, he can't help himself but search? Or is it to deliberately tamper with the search? All right, let's keep listening.
It was Donald Parker, the councillor in Pictou. He hopes that everything will turn out well and asks the public especially to not go to the investigation site because they might blur the trials.
And Gade, what are the latest updates from the police? What are they saying?
So around 4 o'clock, the police said they were obviously continuing the search and that they were also going to try new areas to try to find the children. However, the stepfather of the two missing children has little hope and doesn't think the children can be found in the woods. Let's listen to him.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them being in the woods anymore, because they would have found it by now in the woods. So I'm urging the public to come out, and if they have anything to offer, anything to say.
So a major difficulty for the police here is that there is no cell network, which is a challenge for the rescuers, as well as the weather conditions, which are not always favorable. The stepfather then hopes that the children will be found quickly. He also asks, with the public's help, he also requests that the borders and airports in New Brunswick and elsewhere be monitored. But again, he asks for the public's support to find the two children.
Thank you very much, Agatha.
As I said earlier, that bit about the cell service really jumped out to me because it confirmed my hunch that the cell service is really spotty out there, which could provide the perfect alibi to take a long drive, to hide evidence, or hide the children. But it's not the only thing that jumped out to me. It's just the only new one that jumped out to me because I hadn't heard any other news reports confirm that bit about there being no cell service out there. For instance, I've already pointed out in previous videos how I don't like how quickly Daniel Martel gave up on the search for the children in the woods. Typically, the parent of a missing child, even the step-parent, doesn't give up after just 3 days. One explanation for his super rationality is that he has some other information that suggests to him that the kids are in fact dead, which I've covered in previous videos in this series, which I'll link at the end on the end card. Finally, as I've said in those videos, I don't like the part about Daniel insisting that the police station people away from the area where the children went missing. Plunder has curated plenty more interesting audio about this case. I've linked her channel in the description if you want to show her some love. But if you want me to analyze it, let me know by liking, commenting, and sharing.